So, today I will be teaching you all about citations. What is citation? Where do we cite? When do we cite? How and do we put why do we need to include citations in our research paper? Without further ado, let's begin. Let's begin with defining what is citation. So, citation is simply our reference to a source. It means that we borrowed an information because it is important in our research. Now, citation comes in two different manners. The first one is the in-text citation and the referencing list. The in-text citation, it is all of the citations that we found within our research paper. So when we say in-text citation, these are the type of citations that we mainly found at the body of our research paper. Samples of in-text citations include, according to Oxford University, Finch in 1930 stated that, and etc. On the other hand, referencing list refers to the list of all the in-text citations that we include in our research paper. The main difference is that in-text citation is the shorter version of citing, as it contains only the author's surname, the publication year, and the page number if necessary. While referencing list is the longer version of citing because it contains all of the information that a source may have, such as the author's full name, the publication year, the title of the source, the journal publication, the page number, the DOI, the URL, and many more. Next is the types of in-text citation. There are two types of in-text citation. The first type is the integral, the by author, or most commonly known as the narrative citation. The narrative citation is where the author's surname, followed by the publication year and closed in a parenthesis, is found at the beginning of each statement. Narrative citation is best used if we wanted to discuss the contrasting ideas of two different authors about an idea separately. Next type of in-text citation is the non-integral, the by topic, or the most commonly known as the parenthetical citation. Now, this type of in-text citation is the opposite of the narrative citation because the author's information, such as the author's surname and the publication year of the source, separated by a comma and is both enclosed in a parenthesis, is found at the ending of each statement. It is best used if we wanted to collide or merge the same idea of multiple authors. Moving forward, let's proceed with the different citation styles. There are many different citation styles that we can use in citing or providing reference to our paper, but these three citation styles are the most common. The first one is the APA, which stands for the American Psychological Association, and in terms of the reference list, it is labeled as the references. The APA was developed in 1929 by a group of psychologists, and it is mainly used in academic papers such as the research, the essays, and many more. Next is the MLA, which stands for the Modern Language Association, and in terms of reference list, it is labeled as the works cited. The MLA was developed or funded in 1931 by Carlton Brown and Cyril Arthur, and it is mainly used in literatures such as the books and many more. Lastly, the CMS, which stands for the Chicago Manual of Style, and in terms of the reference list, it is labeled as the bibliography. The Chicago is mainly used in historical papers. Let's elaborate further on the APA rules in citing. If you have one author, then the author's surname and the publication year, including the parentheses, is found at the beginning if you have narrative citation, and if we have parentheticals, and if we use parenthetical citation, the author's surname, comma, the publication year is both enclosed in the parentheses and it is situated at the ending of each statement. If we have two authors, state the two authors, both separated by the word and. If we use parenthetical citation, if we have two authors, the two authors are separated by an ampersand. If we have three or more authors, state the surname of the first author followed by the et al, meaning and others, and then the year. That is for narrative citation. And as for parenthetical citation, same format, but it is found at the ending of each statement. Now, there are some instances that the author is not mentioned in our source, but the association, the corporation is mentioned. Simply replace the author's place with the association mentioned. Example, for the narrative citation, according to the Department of Education. And as for parenthetical citation, mention the corporation or association mentioned and the year to when the source was published. Now, websites are very popular in obtaining information. If we don't have any author mentioned, no association or corporation mentioned, then simply replace the author's place with the title of his work enclosed in quotation marks. And then for parenthetical citation, same format. If there are no dates mentioned, then simply replace it with an D, meaning no date. And for parenthetical citation, same format. And for multiple authors, the year their sources published. Now we can see that there's a small letter A here. It means that this author has published different or multiple studies within this year. That is why small letter A is used to distinguish different studies. And as for parenthetical citation, the authors, followed by their year, was separated by a semicolon. In making a reference list, we can simply go to a website called Scribr and paste the title of our source there, and it will cite. That is called a citation generator. But if you wanted to cite it manually, here's how it is done. In making a reference list, all of the information that we need is showed or is included at the very first page or at the very beginning of the source. This is an example of a journal article, and this is the first page. I made a reference to the source that I made an example earlier. The author, followed by the year publication, the title of the article, the journal title in italics, the volume number, the issue number, the pages, and the DOI if applicable. When we type the title of the article, only the first letter and after the colon and the nouns are the ones who are capitalized, and the rest is not. As for books, the author's surname goes first, followed by a comma, and then the initial, the year of the publication, their title of work in italics, the location, and the publisher. Here's an example. This is the author, this is the year, this is the publisher, and this is the location. Same format. The author's last name, the initials of the author, the year, the month, and the day of their article, and then the title, and then the title of the newspaper in italics, and retrieved from, and then we paste the URL here. Next is the website. Same format. The author's last name, the initials, the year, month, and day of publication, the title of the article in italics, the website, and the URL. Next up is the MLA rules in citing. We have one author, the author's last name, and the page number to where we found the certain information from. For parenthetical citation, the author's surname, but there's no comma here, unlike in the APA. And the page number. For two authors in MOA, the way of citing in narrative citation and parenthetical citation is the same because the word "and" is consistent. For the three or more, same format, but we have no comma separating the authors and page number. We don't have any authors, simply replace the author's place with the title and closing quotation marks, and then the page number. In the narrative citation, when we use the MLA, we don't include the year, but we include the page number. But the page number is placed at the ending of the statement in narrative citation. For parenthetical citation, the author's last name and the page number is together. This is when we make a reference list in MOA style. It is labeled as the word cited in the middle. We used the example earlier. We have a little bit of difference here. In making a reference list in MOA, the author's last name and the author's given name is complete. Unlike in the APA format, only the author's last name is complete and the rest is the initials. Next is the title of the article in quotation marks. Journal title in italics, the volume number, the issue number, the month, the year, publication, the pages, and the DOI. Now, in APA format in the reference list, the year is placed after the author, but in MLA, the year is placed after the issue number. For books, same example. The author's last name and the given name is complete, title in italics, the publisher, and the publication date. For the articles, the only news articles, the author's last name and the given name is complete, the title of the article in closing quotation marks, the title of the newspaper in italics, the day, the month, and the year of publication, the read from, and then the URL. For websites, same format. Author's last name and the given name is complete. The title in enclosing quotation marks. The website in italics. The day, the month, and the year of publication. And lastly, the URL. Last citation style is the Chicago Manual of Style. We have two types when we use the Chicago Manual of Style in citing. It is the notes and bibliography. Here in the notes and bibliography, we uses number, which is called superscript. I will show you that later. We use footnotes and endnotes to cite. And there are two types of footnotes, a full note and a short note. Next type is the author date system. It uses parenthetical and narrative citation to cite. Here is an example of a footnote. Say, for example, this is your background of the study, and then this is your superscript, and then this is your um, footnote. This is an example of a footnote. This line is called the footnote line, and then the superscript number must correspond to the footnote. Now, I've mentioned earlier that there are two types of footnote, which is the full note and the short note. This is an example of the Chicago style footnote citation. That is the number one. And then if this is the first time that we cite this source, then we include it in a footnote. However, if we if we obtain another information from this source and we wanted to cite it again, then we use the short note. In short note, it only contains the author's last name, the title, italics, and the page number. Next is the Chicago Manual style rules in citing. We use the author date format. We have one author, narrative citation, the author's last name, followed by the year, comma, and then the page number, closing the parenthesis. And as for parenthetical citation, there is a no comma that separates the author from the year, but the comma is placed between the year and the page number. If we have two authors, same format with the MLA, the word "and" is consistent. If we have three or more authors, same format. We still use the "et al." And there's no comma after the year, but there's a comma after the page number. Here's how we make a reference list in the Chicago Manual style, and it is labeled as bibliography. The author's last name, the given name, same as the MLA format, the title of the article in quotation marks, the journal title in italics, the volume number, the issue number, the year of publication, enclosing the parentheses, colon, the pages, and the DOI. So this is like the same format with the MLA, but the only difference is that the year of publication is enclosed in a parenthesis followed by a colon. As for books, author's last name, given name, title of the book, work, place of publication, publisher, and the year, and the URL if it is published online. Online news article, author's last name, given name is complete, title of the article in quotation marks, the title of the newspaper, the day, the month, and the year of publication, the URL. For the website, same format. Author's last name, given name is complete, title, and closing quotation marks, the website in italics, the month, the day, the year of publication, and the URL. In all of the references list that we make, it is important to note that we indent 0.5 from the left and to arrange them alphabetically. Why do we cite? The first common answer is to avoid plagiarism. According to Oxford University, cited from a YouTube video of Sir Fruto, it is to present someone else's work or ideas as your own, with or without consent, and without full acknowledgement. Next is to help people find the sources. So if there are any cases that the readers may want to read more about the source, they can they can easily find it with the help of citations. And lastly, it is to provide evidences. Of course, in order to make our research factual, it is important to provide evidences from previous studies for our arguments and for our research paper to be reliable. When do we cite? We cite whenever we paraphrase, we quote, we summarize, or anything that doesn't come from our own, except from our opinion. We don't cite it because it is our idea. Lastly, where do we cite? I mentioned earlier that there are two types of citations. It is the in-text citations that we can find within the body of our paper, whether it can be on the introduction or at the conclusion, and the reference list, which is situated at the very last page or at the very last section of our paper.